All right, folks, have good sporting, episode 52. I'm going to start this episode by telling you how frustrated I am. I just recorded this whole episode and it was really good, and I did not click record on the Zoom. Oh my God, that's so frustrating, man. Oh God. All right. Well, now I'm mad, so there's going to be a significantly more negative recording than it was before. It was great. All right, whatever. We're going to recover. Man, this stinks. All right. All right, here we go. Let's go. Come on, we got this. We got this. All right. Huge weekend. What I was predicting to be the best weekend of sports this year lived up to it and then some. We had the Ryder Cup, we had college football, we had NFL football. We're going to get into it all. We're going to start with the Ryder Cup. I'm going to break it down and then give you some opinions I have on the fans' treatment of Rory McIlroy. All right. I was so entirely consumed with this Ryder Cup. Um, Europe dominated the first 2 days, and I held out hope for so long. My dad mailed it in on Friday afternoon, but I was still there. I was like, I think America's got it. Let's stay positive. Let's stay positive here. I think we got it. And then by the end of Saturday, it felt like Sunday was just an exercise in futility. It felt like they were going to run away with it. And then to make matters worse, we wake up on Sunday morning and see the news that Victor Hovland is injured. And I think at that point, Europe had 11 and a half points. America had 4.5 points. And I guess by rule, if you get hurt, they call the match a tie and you still get a half point. I think that's so lousy. I think you should either lose that point, but then that can be. Now, the problem with that is in a close Ryder Cup, you might kind of force, if he's like kind of like borderline can play, you might force an injured guy to play, and that could make matters worse for the health of a human person. And that's something, we always worry about. But then again, if you just say no points for either team, that is effectively the same as a half point for either team. It was just in this situation, the half point for either team put Europe closer to winning the Ryder Cup when they were already so close. So it went from them needing 2.5 points to two, which is like monumental for America because you cannot give up pretty much anything going into Sunday. But they get the half point, score goes from 12 to 5. So now Europe can, or America can lose one match and tie one match, but you got to win nine of them. Yeah, you got to win because you need 9.5 points. So you got to win nine, tie one, and then you can afford to lose one. And coming into Sunday, America front loads their lineup with some real strong players. And Europe kind of predicts that. They put out Justin Rose and Tommy Fleetwood first, thinking, hey, these guys are undefeated, probably going to beat whoever they play. We'll end this sucker and be home for lunch. Um, it didn't go that way. Cam Young, the hometown boy, beats Justin Rose, a European just maestro in Ryder Cups. And then we're like, okay, it's not much, but it's something. And then Justin Rose, who has no business beating Tommy Fleetwood, wins his match too. And then we're like, oh my God, oh my God. And while those guys are finishing up, Bryson DeChambeau is battling back from being down five through 7 holes, and he ends up tying his match. Just a ridiculous run from DeChambeau to tie Matt Fitzpatrick, who was also very strong for the European team. Like that's arguably Europe's three best players, and you go 2.5 to a half point there. Like in Europe's eyes, they probably think the Ryder Cup should be over after those three matches. But now they're still a point and a half away, and I think the next match after Oberg beats Cantlay. So they get their point. Now Europe's a half point away. from winning the cup. All they have to do is tie a match to win. And then Russell Henley is up one against Shane Lowry going into the 18th hole. And we're like, man, all right, hopefully they both par and we can just get out of here with a win. Cantlay, or not Cantlay, Russell Henley sails one left into a bunker. Bad shape. We're screwed. Ryder Cup's over. Then he hits a magical shot from a fairway bunker to like 10 feet. And he hit it to a spot where like I think there was like five guys before him that hit it there that day. So we have a good read on that putt. Honestly, even though it's like a 12 footer, you should make it. And he leaves it in the heart. And it broke my heart. It absolutely broke my heart because Shane Lowry gets up there, sinks a putt to tie the match, and Europe wins. And going up, you're like, Lowry's not gonna miss. The Europeans have been making putts all day, all week. They haven't missed a putt in the Ryder Cup. It was like the best putting performance I've ever seen. And the worst part is, even though it was so far-fetched that America was gonna pull out a win, if Henley wins that match, we are Spawn dominates Rom, and then Schauffele dominates maybe Hogard. Hogard went didn't win a point for Europe. Like that one was always a win. But Rom gets beat. They still finish out the matches even if you lose, which is like why even bother? But we win those two matches, and then the last four matches we're winning in two and tied in the other two. So it's like there was an absolute European homer on the broadcast who didn't speak on the broadcast for like an hour because he had to be so concerned. Because like it was entirely feasible if Henley wins that point that you could win. Like the odds are still slim because all Europe has to do is tie one, but it would have at least come down to the last two matches probably. Would have been a magical finish. If it wasn't the best comeback in American sports history, it still would have been one of the best Ryder Cups ever. But it was a true heartbreaker for because I like as much as I did kind of lose hope, there was always like a but in singles it changes, they don't have a teammate. It could have been awesome. Man, it could have been awesome. All right. Um okay. That was the Ryder Cup. Um I didn't watch any football until the Ryder Cup was over each day. Um, so then that made me catch the latter half of the LSU Ole Miss game. But I went back and tried to catch up on the first half a little bit. LSU's offense, there's a big enough sample size here to say that their offense is just not going to be good, which is a bummer because this was LSU's year. This was like they loaded up for this year. They were top three in odds for the SEC to win the conference and make the playoff and win the national championship. They loaded up. Nussmeier was supposed to be a beast. The revamped defense was supposed to do its job. Now it's entirely flip-flop. That defense is like scary, but this offense is just like stagnant all the time. And it's like, what are we doing? Is this going to turn into another classic disappointing 9-3 for LSU and Brian Kelly? That's what it seems to be. That's what it seems to be. But I don't want to get too caught up in the losing because there was a lot of that this weekend. America goes down, LSU goes down. But let's talk about well, I'm not even an LSU fan. I was kind of happy to see him lose. But let's talk about the winner. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin has these boys rolling. Quick intermission for water. LSU has the boys rolling. Trinidad Chambliss, Ole Miss quarterback, is really good, which he was not supposed to be, but he's really good. He is kind of a. Now, I think the worst thing you can say about a quarterback is that he's a running back who can throw the ball. This is a real quarterback with like running back skills. Like he's not gonna go down really if you only get your hands on him. Like he gets some rack, he gets some run after contact. Um, but yeah, once you give Lane Kiffin, oh, whoa, 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 a little glitchy there. once you give Lane Kiffin some momentum, he started rolling in this game. Um, the LSU offense is just they're gonna put up points against whoever they play. I think they might get got at some point this year, just because that defense is still not probably not championship caliber, which lowers their ceilings maybe a little bit too much for a national championship run. But this feels like a playoff team. And now, if this Florida job opens, Lane Kiffin's not taking it. He just made the playoffs at Ole Miss, and he loves it there. So good for Lane Kiffin, good for Ole Miss. A big upset. They're up to number four, 3-0 in the conference, 5-0 overall. About to be, I think they go bye week and then play Tomato Can University. So they'll be 6-0 with relative ease. And then with them, it's like, I mean, make a run at something huge, but 4-2 probably gets it done, gets in the playoff, and then go make your run there. They probably have a decision to make once Austin Simmons is really ready to come back, but I'm assuming they're going to roll with Trinidad Chambliss because he looks really good, and so does Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. So good for them. Lane Kiffin's daughter is dating an LSU player, and he beats the brakes off of LSU. Good for Lane Kiffin, right? He's the real father, so that's good for him. All right. Uh, then we get into that 7:30 dual box that I had going with Oregon, Penn State, and Alabama, Georgia. Two electric games. We're going to start with Oregon, Penn State, and we're going to talk about the winner first. Oregon has been in this upper echelon of the Big Ten, but hasn't quite broken through. Fell at the hands of like Michigan had their number. Well, I don't know if even they played Michigan when Michigan won it all, but they were never number one. They were always kind of rolling second or third in the Big Ten. But now Oregon has a legit chance to be the guys in the Big Ten. Dan Lanning, play action passes on 4th and 2 to pick up 20 yards. God, he's my favorite coach in college football. The stones on this guy. It's just so fun to watch. Dante Moore, probably a Heisman front runner. Um, the offense, he just makes some ridiculous throws, makes something out of nothing, and looks to only be getting better. I mean, he played games at UCLA, but this is his first time full-time starter in a big-time role, and he's showing out. He feels like he'll be in New York for my money. Um, Oregon looks great. They turn over Penn State in overtime to seal it. And it was 17-3, was shaping up to be a dominant Oregon victory. But then we go over to this Penn State side where the positives for Drew Aller is that he had some legit big time throws and they tied this game up late. Had the lead in overtime. We're up 24-17 in overtime. That defense gives up a touchdown in overtime. They go to a second OT period. Oregon scores, Penn State throws a pick, and that's all she wrote. For having the lead in overtime, this might be the most hopeless a team has ever been. Um, and it's because Drew Aller is not the guy that we thought he was. Now, I think Drew Aller's a good guy, and Penn State's an easy team to cheer for. So we gave him a lot of chances. We were like, oh, this Oregon game, this is a time to show who you can really be, you know? And he's just not. He's not. He's not. He didn't materialize into what Penn State needed him to be. And it feels like in big games, Penn State is not going to win unless they can run for like 200 or 250 on the ground. Because Aller is not getting it done through the air. Even if these wide receivers are better than what they've had in previous years, I don't think Aller's going to do enough to, go beat a Penn State or make a run in the playoffs. So Penn State has the lead in overtime, but still struggled for, 45 of the, I guess, 60 and then some minutes in this game. But now Penn State drops. Now 10-2 for Penn State is feasible, but are you just going to get smoked in your two biggest games? That's a pretty bad way to go 10-2 in my eyes. But Oregon's rolling. Penn State is going to have their chance to get their get back. They still loaded up for this year, so don't count them out. But things are looking bleaker and bleaker by the game, by the week for Penn State. All right, then on the left side of my screen in the double box, I had Georgia and Alabama. They were actually on the right side of the screen. Let me correct myself. Again, an electric game, but I want to talk about Kirby Smart here because this is the first time where I have legitimately questioned Kirby Smart's game day process. Because late there in the game, they're down 24-21. They have a 3rd and 4, and they run the ball and then hurry up and go for it on 4th. And the way it played out made it completely evident that they were going for it on 4th down no matter what. They just wanted it to be, 4th and 1 or 2 and not 4th and 4. But you hold Bama to 0 points in the second half. There was not a point in that second half, even though Alabama was winning, where I felt like the momentum was really going to swing back in Alabama's favor. So I don't understand when you're in field goal range, down 3 with momentum, why not tie that game up and kick? It's the one of the only bad game management calls I have maybe ever seen out of Kirby. That's my big takeaway from Georgia's side of things. And then my second biggest takeaway, that is just Georgia and Alabama combined, is the 3rd down performance for Ty Simpson in Alabama. Something ridiculous like 12 for 17 or 13 for 19 on 3rd down, which is like, it's not insane for a team to have success on 3rd down. It's insane for them to have that many 3rd downs against Georgia, like 17 or 18 or 19 third downs against them. And Georgia's offense only gets off the field a few times. They get they're 60 they're 66.7% on 3rd down. If that's 2/3, kind of shakes out to be that. But Ty Simpson was just had that 3rd down defense's number. He and Ty Simpson looked great. I think after FSU, we were like, Kalen DeBoer sucks, and Ty Simpson sucks, and Alabama sucks, and Nick Saban's not there anymore, and this team is just like, let's just fire the guy. And now it's like, sun's coming out. Now it's like, oh, now for Alabama, the sun's coming out. Now you're right back to where you should have been. If you said you're 3-1 after Georgia, people wouldn't have guessed that it was going to go this way. But it's like, yeah, that's a feasible thing. Still a lot of season left. Let's go be talented and make the playoff and go win the national championship. And that's exactly what this team's ceiling is this is a team that can win the national championship. Because Ty Simpson, who we weren't very high on coming into the year, is making NFL type throws. Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, and Isaiah Horton is you can't ask for a better receiving core in the nation than what this Alabama team has. And then you got Jam Miller back, Tim Keenan on the D line. You got a deep, deep secondary room. And then let's be honest, I don't know how deep their room is, but it feels like it is. And Alabama's rocking and rolling. Big game against Vandy, which big game against Vandy is like an oxymoron. Should never be big. But you lost to them last year. You go beat Vandy. Things are like, okay, we're really rolling. Let's win out and go 11-1 and win the SEC and win the national championship and prove that Alabama is for real Alabama. Nick Saban wasn't Alabama. Like, it's always Alabama, no matter who's at the helm. Good, biggest win for Kalen DeBoer to date. He breaks a 40-game home win streak for Georgia, which is a insane streak in its own. But you go to Athens and you beat them, and this is the highest trajectory there is in college football right now. I think Alabama has some real damage, but I also think Georgia's season is never over, right? You know, you go 10-2 last year and you still win the SEC championship. Like this is a resilient team. I'm not worried about either of these teams, but I'm definitely higher on Alabama now after this game. But just the overall fan in me, two absolutely electric games and an electric weekend. And then I guess I kind of talked about what I want to talk about. Um, but let's finish out this weekend. That was fantastic. I'm not gonna break down too many of these NFL games, but I watched football all day on Sunday, had a quad box going, upgraded from the two box to the four box, watched the Falcons get a big win, watched the Panthers get spanked. My girlfriend Leah is not very happy about that. She's from Charlotte. She was pissed. And not only did they lose, it was like horrible. Like even Lid was, I think Lid could have gone out there and put up more points on the board than the Panthers did. She couldn't quite understand why they were so bad because when they played the Falcons last year, they win like 27-0, and they just think the Panthers are the best thing, the greatest thing since sliced bread. But now they've sort of come back to reality, and now they understand that the team they cheer for is not the Tom Brady Patriots, right? It's the Bryce Young Panthers. So Panthers lost, Falcons won. Um, the state of Georgia is pretty happy with that. They kind of a good bounce back from what transpired on Saturday, and then you get the big takeaway from the NFL. It was Sunday night. The Packers play the Cowboys, and it's like I think the Packers were the better team for a majority of that game. And then it ends in a 40-40 tie. Now I love the overtime rule changes, but if it results in a lot of ties, I think that's probably a problem. Like I think I like the rules, just have a second overtime and at least find a winner. Like ties do literally nothing. The post game handshakes between the Packers and the Cowboys was so peculiar. Like no one knew what to do. Jordan Love was like shook hands with Dak Prescott. I was like, I mean, good game. Like play well the rest of the season. It's like he didn't even know what to say. And then the coaches shake hands and they're just like they literally go up and they're like, that's a tie, 40-40 tie. Now we got a scoregami, which is huge. We love scorigamis. First time a 40-40 game has ever happened. So that's very cool. But a bizarre but really fun end to a fantastic weekend. Um, all right, we're gonna preview just two games for this Saturday because it's probably the only show I'm gonna do this week. Start a job on Thursday. Don't even know if I'm gonna get paid, but a big step in the right direction, hopefully. Very excited. Score Atlanta, bringing high school sports to your phone, to your TV. And you know, high school football in Georgia, high school sports in Georgia, big deal. So I'm very excited to start that. Score Atlanta, great company, great organization, really. Lot of good people there, and great connections as well. I think that's important. But let's talk Florida, Texas. The over under for this game should be 6.5. This might be the first college football game where the first team to 10 is like you might as well end it there, right? These it's such an insane game to talk about. I think Texas is favored by 6.5, maybe 7.5. It's about a touchdown spread like it was preseason. But in the preseason, the over under was like 54.5 because you have Arch Manning and DJ Lagway who are supposed to be just launching balls all day. Oh God, don't say that. Supposed to be throwing the rock around all day. Um, and now it's like Arch Manning and DJ Lagway might play a football game that ends 10-3. I don't even know if I'm looking forward to it or not. Um, and part of me is like, as bad as Florida has been, if there was ever a Texas team, if there was any version of Texas that you could beat this year, it would be the Texas that's coming to coming to the swamp this weekend. It's like Arch Manning is not who we thought he was. Super questionable decisions being made in that Texas offense. Now their defense is stout. Their defense is so good. So I'm just concerned that neither team's going to score any points. Florida might be the first team to where they try out there on first down and it's like, oh my God, they're going for it here? This is so dumb. But yeah, like it might be the first game where both teams just punt on first down because you know they're not going to do anything. I don't know. The over is 41 and a half. It's like, what do you even take there? It's so low, so it's like every game should be over that total. But in this game, it's like if this game was, I mean, the highest possible score in this game is probably 28, 24, 24-20, maybe even. Now, maybe, look, they both had bye weeks. Maybe, um, maybe something got fixed. I can't even say it with a straight face. Maybe these offenses are better after the bye week. Maybe DJ Lagway figured something out. Maybe he's going to finally start throwing with 2 feet on the ground. Maybe the offensive line for Florida is going to actually wait for the ball to be snapped before they move. Maybe Florida figured out that spitting on a guy is actually a penalty for you and not the other team, right? We don't know. We don't know what they did in the bye week. Um, and it's also like, as a Florida fan, I don't know if I want to win the game. Because, like, Billy Napier is a lame duck. I can't even say, well, if Billy Napier is a lame duck, then you probably want him to lose and expedite the process. But it's like, I think he is. He is a lame duck. So if you lose and he gets fired on Sunday, it's like, all right, we're finally free from the shackles of our head coach. But then again, if we win, I'm going to be super pumped because that's super cool to beat Texas at home. But it's a bummer because this was supposed to be college game day. Two ranked teams that are, you know, one combined lost maybe between the two, or maybe they're both 3-1, and we're like, all right, winner here has a straight shot for the playoff. But it's like, I don't know. This might be the if someone watches this football game and they aren't a Florida fan and aren't a Texas fan, it might be the first game where an unbiased third party actually is crying in the middle of the game because they're just so sad for what the two teams have become. All right. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna watch it, sure, but I'm not gonna enjoy it. All right. Bama versus Vandy. Now this one, I'm gonna look up when these games are because if Bama Vandy is on at the same time as Florida Texas, I'm watching. Oh, they're both at 3:30. I'm gonna watch Bama Vandy. I'm gonna watch the Bama Vandy game because Diego Pavia is the greatest thing we have in the sport. Just like an awesome to watch guy. Puts it on the line for Vandy. Might be the first player in the last 15 years that is ready to die for Vanderbilt football. And then Bama. This game's actually probably more interesting if Bama lost to Georgia, but nonetheless, this game should be a spectacle. I mean, because you might get a little bit of a hangover from a huge win for Bama, and then obviously a Vandy team where like this is their Super Bowl. So I'm very, very pumped up to watch this game. I think Bama is actually heavy, heavy favorites. What's the spread? Oh, minus 10.5. Okay. I mean, selfishly, because I just want the game to go this way, I'll probably take Bama probably wins, but, you know, Vandy plus 10.5. But I just want both teams to have fun. because I might be in tears from what's going on in the double box that I'm gonna have going on. Um, but I guess I'll go through some predictions. All right, my prediction for Florida Texas is like it's never a normal score with a team like Florida. There's always some sort of safety or failed missed kick, blocked kick, uh some or like there's down by so much they got to go for two. So it's not going to be like a 24-17, but I think it could be like this is probably like 22 to Texas is going to score 22. I don't know how they're going to score 22. Well, Texas might score a normal amount of points. Texas is going to score 24, and I think that Florida is going to score 12. I think Florida's going to score 12 points. 24-12 is my prediction. Texas wins and covers. And then I think Bama wins 37-31 in a game that's not actually as close as it sounds. That's my prediction. All right, but we're gonna get out of here. Again, super bummed that I recorded this whole thing, or that I did this whole thing and wasn't recording. So hopefully this one didn't feel like a rerun, but it was. Probably why things got a little weird. I don't know if it got weird. Okay, let's do a couple personal minutes here. I had a great weekend, but a very unproductive weekend. I was literally watching sports. I was watching sports and drinking beer all weekend, which is super fun. But like Sunday and Monday were like, oh my God, I'm dragging. Didn't eat all that well. Didn't go to the gym. Lost a couple lbs off the old frame here. Um, but a productive day today. Well, a productive day that started at like 1. I was unproductive until then. But to me, it's like if I can get a couple productive hours in, then the day feels productive. Um, so we're gonna try to have a good, healthy week. Get my protein in. Go to the gym. Get swole. Spend quality time with people I care about. And then I had a piece of advice that I thought was really good. Oh yeah. Now this is something that's probably been said a million times, but here's your tip of the day. The best version of yourself is not the easiest version of yourself. If you want to be the best version of yourself, you got to get out of bed earlier than I've been getting out of bed. You got to go get steps in or eat something healthy and not like get up and then just go lay down somewhere else. I'm trying to make a concerted effort to get off the phone, trying to have a couple good days before I get into this new job and really, start grooving, start firing on all cylinders, which I haven't been doing the last couple days, but we're gonna get there. Hold me to it, all right? Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I actually think it was kind of a good one. Um, yeah, we'll be back. I guarantee we'll be back at least once next week. We'll see what sort of transpires with this job, how much more I can keep doing this. But I really enjoy it, and I want to keep doing it as long as you keep watching. Okay? All right, have a good sporting episode 52 in the books. Thank you for watching. Love you. Bye.